why partnering with China is Canada's best move against Trump's tariffs. Donald Trump's latest tariffs on Canadian goods are not simply economic measures. They are deliberate acts of political and economic pressure. They serve two purposes for him. First, to rally his domestic base by appearing tough on trade, and second, to remind allies that their access to the U.S. market comes with strings attached. For Canada, this is a direct challenge to economic sovereignty, and it demands a calculated, decisive response. The core problem is clear. Canada's overreliance on the US market has made it vulnerable. For decades, more than 70% of Canadian exports have gone to the United States. This imbalance gives Washington, and in this case, Trump, enormous leverage. When that leverage is used as a weapon, polite diplomacy is no longer a sufficient defense. The question becomes, how can Canada counterbalance this dependency quickly and effectively? The fastest and most effective option is to strengthen trade ties with China. This is not about long-term political alignment, nor about ignoring areas of disagreement. It is a tactical, time-sensitive move designed to restore leverage and force a recalculation in Washington. Trump has not reserved his trade aggression for China alone. Canada has been hit repeatedly despite being a close ally and a key partner in North American trade. This shared experience puts Canada and China in a unique position. Both are facing pressure from the same source, and both have strong incentives to push back. Partnering with China offers immediate advantages. One, diversification of export markets. Every product Canada ships to China instead of the United States weakens Trump's claim that Canada has no other viable markets. This shift in trade flows sends a clear message that Canadian exports are not locked into a one-way pipeline south of the border. Number two, increased negotiating power. In trade negotiations, dependency is weakness. By showing Washington that there are alternative buyers and partners, Canada would force U.S. policymakers, including Trump, think twice before imposing further tariffs. 3. Economic shock value. A high-profile Canada-China trade deal announced in the wake of new tariffs would be politically embarrassing for Trump. It would show that his tariff policy is driving allies into the arms of his biggest rival. Historically, tariffs have rarely been reversed because a targeted country simply asked nicely. They are reversed when the political cost of maintaining them outweighs the benefits. For Trump, political cost comes from two places: domestic backlash and visible loss of influence. A Canadian pivot toward China would hit on both fronts. U.S. businesses dependent on Canadian imports would push back, while international observers would note Trump's inability to keep a key ally aligned. Critics may argue that China is not an ideal partner for Canada, pointing to differences in governance, values, and past diplomatic disputes. These concerns are valid in the long term, but they are not decisive in the current trade war scenario. Temporary alliances based on shared interests are not only common, they are often necessary. In this case, the shared interest in resisting Trump's use of tariffs as a blunt political instrument. The cost of inaction is far greater than the potential downsides of a tactical partnership. If Canada does nothing, Trump's tariffs could expand, targeting additional sectors. Worse, other countries could interpret Canada's passivity as a signal that it is unwilling to defend its economic interests aggressively. The next step would be to initiate high-level trade talks with Beijing, focusing on sectors most affected by U.S. tariffs, such as steel, aluminum, agriculture, and energy. This would not require a complete shift away from U.S. trade, but rather the creation of enough alternative capacity to remove Washington's chokehold. The strategy is simple: leverage over goodwill. Trump's style of negotiation rewards strength and punishes passivity. By making it clear that Canada is willing and able to seek other markets, and by actually securing those markets, Ottawa would send the most effective message possible: tariff threats will not achieve compliance. Trump's tariffs are not just economic policy, they are a test of political will. Partnering with China, diversifying exports, and demonstrating that Canada will not be cornered are the surest ways to turn back his economic aggression. The enemy's enemy can be the most effective ally. The time to act is now, before the damage becomes permanent.